All right, Panther fans, we got magic today. We got magic going on right here with you. I'm gonna let Stu tell you. But I'm pretty sure you can see him already. But Stu, go ahead, bud.
Well, every time Randy's on, we get a lot of comments, and they love you, Randy, and we appreciate you taking the time to, talk to us, talk to the fans, and that's it.
Yep.
You're in Raleigh, getting ready for tomorrow night. Big game for us, big test. Yep. And, after last night's game, I'm hoping they come back and tighten things up and score a lot of goals and take 2 points.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on again, guys. I always enjoy it. Nothing better than talking hockey and talking Panthers hockey. And, we can dive into last night's game in Dallas and kind of preview what they're to expect in Carolina. Carolina's actually playing at home against the Calgary Flames tonight. I'm gonna watch that game tonight and do a little pre-scouting. But I think we all know that it's, as I like to say, it's not going to be a church picnic tomorrow night. Carolina, dominant teams in the NHL, and especially on home ice, they are built the same way that the Panthers are. It is speed, skill, and more speed. And their goaltender, Steady Freddie Anderson, is. I was looking at his stats. He's either second or third in pretty well all the categories for goaltenders. So whether he plays or not, or he plays tonight against the Calgary Flames, I'm not quite sure, but we'll have to be prepared for it anyways. But fire away. I got all kinds of information. As I tell people, if I can't answer your question, you don't need to know.
Well, one thing Calgary is due. They've lost a lot of games recently, and eventually they got to get in the win column. So I guess the first thing about last night, we both have some observations. For me, I didn't think the team played that bad. You guys mentioned the fact that in the first period we could have and should have had at least 3 goals. Holtby really stepped up, but we gotta finish those. We've had our chances, and I don't know, Eric. I'm drawing a blank here, so Eric,
that's okay.
Fire away. I'll come up with something.
Before Eric comes in, I'll give you my observations. And you have time once the game's over, and the next day you turn the page, and you have time to reflect on the game. You're absolutely right in what I said after 20 minutes of play, and I said it in the post-game show as well. The Panthers had 19 shots in the first period. They could have easily been up 3-0, 3-1, 4-1. And it looked like Dallas hadn't played in 17 days, guys. And you practice all you want, but it still doesn't replace. You can scrimmage, you can try and simulate game situations as much as you can, but and still you drop the puck and play again an NHL style hockey game. It's pretty tough to prepare. I thought Dallas, they were stunned, and they just weren't expecting the speed and the execution, and they were standing around, and we were just picking them apart offensively in the first period. But looking back, I think I can kind of categorize it as well, and a lot kind of drifts into Jonathan Huberdeau, even though, he's 4th in the league in points. He's in the Hart MVP conversation. What a phenomenal year he's had. But there's numerous times last night failed to shoot the puck. And I really liked, especially going back to the homestand, the 4-game homestand where they scored 24 goals and won all 4 games. They were selfish. And I liked that. Yeah. Shoot the puck when you get an opportunity. Don't pass up a good shooting opportunity to try and pass it over to the side. And now you've given it to somebody else that's at a worse shooting angle and doesn't have as much time to get it away as you did just seconds before that. And I think the Panthers have been a lot better at shooting the puck. We've seen that in the 4-game homestand. But last night, I think they were a little hesitant during some parts of the game where they just wouldn't shoot, and then they didn't have some puck luck around the net. But give Dallas credit. they finally got their legs and they got their game underneath them in the second period. They won some key draws. They capitalized on a couple of turnovers off that we gave them.
Yeah.
And, all of a sudden we're going into overtime 5-5.
Right.
Well, the observation that I made as far as Huberdeau goes, especially on the power play, you saw where he scored the tying goal. And he gets the puck right at that spot many times. And it drives Eric and I nuts because he looks to pass first. And there's many times where he could take that shot. You got Hornquist in front, either a deflection, a rebound, takes the eyes away from the goalie. So, we bring that up all the time. Eric and I texted, during the game in addition to the recaps, and it drives us nuts when he doesn't shoot the puck. I mean, he's the best passer in the league, in my opinion, hands down. But he definitely needs to be more selfish. I think Barkov this year has become more shoot first, and we like that.
Yeah, especially it looks like that's going to be their go-to now to kind of help fix up the power play, is by getting Barkov in position to take shots like he did last night. And then to what Stu was talking about with Huberdeau, yeah, I mean, we got so frustrated it's hard because he's still playing at such a ridiculously high level. It's like, you're really going to complain about Huberdeau, right? But the one thing I did notice is that, and I'm sure that this is, how he's meaning to play, but I've been focusing on him a lot. And most of the time when he gets the puck, we're sitting there yelling, shoot, shoot, shoot. He's not even looking at the net. He is, as soon as he gets the puck, he is only thinking about the pass, which, if he's going to continue to play like this, it's fine. But like you said, and that was actually part of the question I had, with, like, when we're sitting at home, just the fans getting our one angle and we're yelling, shoot, shoot, shoot. How often, for you guys in the booth, are you able to see a different camera angle that maybe explains why the player didn't shoot?
Yeah. And you know what? I'm not here. Of course, we're not here to be negative against John Huberdeau.
Right.
I mean, he's a phenomenal player and one of the best in the game, and one of the best passers, if not the best passer in the game. And that what happens, guys, it gets polarized because he has the puck so much. Right. And then and we think that he's in shooting position, but a lot of times, and look at some of the passes that he's made to for primary assists so far, and that, I mean, he doesn't get those primary assists if he doesn't pass the puck. So,
right, exactly.
I think he's maturing as a player. I think he realizes now, and the coaches have emphasized to him, that you got to have a lot of time that shoot mentality first. And then if you don't feel you have the right angle, and if you really sense or you can see that a teammate is in better shooting position, then by all means, use your talent and dish the puck off. But you mentioned about Barkov. I don't know if you guys realize he broke a record last night. Well, for this year, and I think going back even last year as well, he took 40 draws last night.
Wow.
The most game so far this season, and even going back, I think we're trying to get the research last year as well. The second is Patrice Bergeron with 33 with the ball. He had took 40 draws. Now think about that, guys. And that's 65 minutes of hockey, and he took 40 draws. So he was a beast last night. It would have been a Cinderella story if Barkov would have scored on that breakaway in overtime. Yeah. I think he made the right decision. He tried to put it over the blocker, Braden Holtby, but Holtby, what some of the saves he made in the third period and in overtime, sensational, and he deserves a lot of accolades for that.
Yeah, Randy, why didn't he do his patented move where he fakes left and go, and then just lifts the backhand?
I didn't get a chance right after to talk to him and that, but no, he's got so many weapons and that. I never fault a player whether you're doing a shootout or you have a breakaway shooting the puck.
Right.
What frustrates me, and it has nothing to do with Barkov or any of our players, hockey in general, that I've seen so many times where a player will come in and try a deke and the goaltender just backs right in, right on the goal line, goes in the butterfly position and has his two arms and blocker and glove right there. Right. And now got about a hole about this big, in a couple different spots, and very difficult. Now, every night we see on highlights beautiful deke goals and guys stick handle and deke and get some pretty goals in that. But to make my point, I never fault a player for shooting the puck. I think that's your number one. It should be your number one option. You have the advantage over a goaltender when you do shoot the puck. When you do go to the deke, I think the advantage tips towards a goaltender in that situation.
Absolutely.
The goalie wants you to try and deke them. And there's only, in my opinion, I shouldn't say a handful. There's a small percentage of players like Patrick Kane and the stars in the league with McDavid and Draisaitl and the players in Toronto and that Matthews and Marner, and I know I'm missing out on a few of them, but there's only a few top end players that can score the majority of the time on the deke. If they do it 10 times, that they can score like 5 or 6 times out of those 10 times. There's only percentage that have that skill set to be able to do it. Everybody can shoot the puck. Everybody can shoot the puck. And there's not one player in the NHL that can't shoot the puck and can't score on the breakaway. So I don't want to beat that to death, but and then you can chop it up. You can analyze it as well. The Panthers, especially on the road this year, at home, they've been very, very good when they go into overtime. They've got some big overtime winning goals and in the shootout as well. On the road, going back to last year and even the year before, they seem to have their struggles winning games in overtime, and especially when they get in the shootout, they've really struggled with that.
Yeah.
Well, I mentioned to Eric earlier today that we have to win games in overtime, and obviously we've had plenty of chances because we're not good in the shootout. The goals that were scored against Bobrovsky, if we're talking about the deep, two of the goals that were scored, the player came in and basically stopped short and then put it between his legs. I always feel, and I see so many goals where it's top shelf because the goalie can't react fast enough either with his glove or his blocker when the shot's going past his ear. I mean, they have a small little window, but these guys are so good at putting the puck. It's almost like in the All-Star game where they have those, those 4 targets, and they hit the corner. It's just amazing. I mean, the talent that these guys have. You're right, though.
That just backs me up, Stu, and I appreciate that. That you know what you saw on both the shootouts by the Dallas Stars, Robertson and who else, Pavelski or whatever. They shot the puck, and I bet you, if both of those players tried to deke Bobrovsky last night, Bobrovsky would have stopped it.
Right.
That's what good defenders are on stopping the deke on those shootouts and that. So, anyway,
did you notice if his paddle was down? Because Eric made an observation that he's got to block those 5 holes with his pallet. I didn't think that. I thought that the 5 hole was just too wide. I mean, hope he closed it. I mean, on the Lundell attempt, he closed that hole real quick, and that's been a problem for Bob, consistently. But then again, he makes those saves during regulation, and he made those saves in overtime. I think in the shootout, there's nobody challenging the shooter. And basically, they can go wide. The shooters, how they don't come straight down. In the old days, remember, they used to just come straight down center ice. Now they go all the way right, all the way left. But I don't know. like I said, my point is we're so good and so fast. And in overtime, we have 3 guys, and we have to win those games in overtime. That's all. We can't let it go to the shootout.
So I wanted to pick your brain about this one, Randy. So every year, as you know, fan base, most teams anyway, there's always that one player that becomes the guy that's getting picked on. And to my dismay, because Owen Tippett has no bigger fan in the NHL than I, with the slump that he's currently in, the fan base has picked up on Tippett, and you know, I'm hearing a lot, and Stu and I have talked about it. You know, a lot of people thinking maybe, you know, he'll be part of a deal to bring in a defenseman or something. But the one thing I was answering somebody's question to one of the videos the other day, because he asked me, you know, when am I gonna, you know, give up on Tippett, basically. And what I found was, before last night, he had just played his 83rd game. So it's one season, basically. And he's got 30 points. And then I went and I looked at Frankfurt Toronto, and the first 2 seasons in Boston, he played exactly 83 games and had 29 points. So they were the exact same age at the same time. So I made the point, you know, it's way, way, way too early to just be giving up on Tippett. And, you know, it could very well end up a situation where, like, for Toronto, there was no room for him in Boston. He comes here and he flourishes. Your thoughts on just his struggles right now? Because to me, it just started as a scoring slump where he just couldn't buy a goal. And then it's kind of gone downhill on him and everything. And like I said, last year, when he was getting moved all up and down the lineup for a month, I bitched and complained on the channel, get him in the top 6 with the same line mates and let him play. And so I've got a lot of capital invested in how well he does. So just wanted to get your thoughts on where you think he is and how he can kind of get things, you know, righted.
Well, first of all, I recognize that I think he's gone 13, 14 games without a goal. Okay. That's a stat. That's a fact. You can't tiptoe around that. I'm a big Owen Tippett fan. So here's my view on the situation. So we all know, let's say it's 13, 14 games he hasn't scored. As long as, and you guys watched the game last night, he had 3 chances in the first period, and he did shoot the puck. And that, I don't have a problem with that. And the other thing is, you know, I played a long time in the NHL and played with players that went through extended scoring streaks and what have you. As long as your coaches, management will tolerate that, will accept that, as long as you're doing other things. And I think you get my drift here. I'm not having a real concerned about Owen Tippett. He's very gifted. He's got an excellent shot. It will come, hopefully sooner than later, but he's bringing other things to the table. Right. He was checking machine last night. He caused a lot of chaos and a lot of havoc. He was one or the second in on the forecheck and causing issues for the Dallas defense, help them cough up the puck, turnovers, and that. As long as he's keeping his feet moving, using his speed, and is determined and doesn't take shifts off, and, you know, just go out there and kind of halfway play, but go out there and as coaches say, initiate, then I don't have an issue with him. If he stops working, if he stops carrying, if he stops pulling the rope and helping forecheck and real, I mean, even last night he had that one really good back check where he hustled to get back and broke up a play, then I don't have a problem with that. I really don't. Would it be great if he found his scoring touch? Absolutely. But you know, he's playing on a team too, guys, that it's not the Florida Panthers from 6-7 years ago or 8 years ago where starving and we just didn't have the talent base. Now we do. Right. The Panthers are a very deep hockey club, and a guy like Tippett having a little bit of a scoring slump right now, it's not as magnified as it would be a number of years ago if they really counted on it. Does that sound fair?
Yeah. That was. I'm glad you said it, because everybody gets so sick of me trying to talk positive about them. I'm glad somebody else said it.
Yeah, and the other thing too, guys, is we live in a microwave world right now where we want it hot, we want it now, and it tests your patience because of where we're at and the stresses that we're under in our daily lives with this pandemic and all this, what we're having to deal with, and that it's so easy to come to a quick judgment. Owen Tippett, there was a reason why he was drafted in the first round and drafted high, and that he has a skill set that teams would just ooze over. Can you imagine the Arizona Coyotes or the Buffalo Sabres or some of the teams that are rebuilding, the Detroit Red Wings? They would love to have that player, and
the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, and they would love it because they see the potential and they see the talent, and he's shown that talent, whatever. So my message to the Panther fan base is, you know what? Let's just be patient. He doesn't have to carry the team. He can go through a little bit of a struggle as long as he's working and doing other things. I have absolutely no problem with Owen Tippett and that being on the team and playing a regular shift. I really don't have a problem with that.
Perfect.
I brought up the Canadians because there's rumors going around Pierre LeBrun with Ben Sherratt, and Eric and I were talking about who might be part of that trade. We have so many players right now. We're so deep. And don't forget, we have Heponiemi, Denisenko, Noel. We got guys down in, the AHL where if we use Tippett as a trade, component, we have guys that can take his place. So it's just my take on things. He might be part of the mix. Yeah. I don't think that it's going to be strictly draft picks.
Got to be careful. We got to be careful with that because not many players can shoot the puck. Young players can shoot the puck like he has. The other thing too, and this is kind of like I don't know. I never want to. I'm not scolding or whatever, but I just want to remind fans and everybody involved. I'm a fan as well. I'm with everybody with you guys, and that I'm a fan first, and I'm a broadcaster second. You're talking about trades and names floating out, and Stu, you just mentioned, Sherratt and all that. You have to put on your GM cap as well. And what are the implications in your depth if you do make moves like you just suggested, short term and long term? And I'm not talking what happens next year. How does it affect your team and your salary cap situation in 3, 4, 5 years down the road?
Right.
You got
Well, that's the problem.
It's not like the old days where Glenn Sather would trade 5 players for 1 star player or whatever, and no implications because of the salary cap, or the other way around. He would acquire 4 players for 2 players, and that because there was no salary cap at that time. It's very scientific. There's a lot of analytics that are involved in that, and not just player analytics. It's salary cap and how and you got to look at future of who you're going to have to pay that are coming out of entry level contracts. For example, guys, if Anton Lundell continues to prosper and grow as a player, can you imagine what his second contract is going to look?
Yeah, he's at least a $5 million kid.
Well, yeah, and we're we don't want to put numbers in front of it, but you have to look at the big picture in that, and you start trade this guy and that guy and get this guy or whatever. Well, there's more to it. It's a little bit more complicated than that. That's what I want to. I guess that's what I want to say.
No, I hear you. Eric and I were talking about that the other day. I don't think we got the space, and don't forget we got to re-sign Huberdeau. That's probably going to be $10 million. So you got Bobrovsky at $10 million, you got Barkov at $10 million, you got Ekblad at $8 million.
And in 5 minutes, we'll need to find Spencer Knight to his second contract as well. So you just don't know how that's going to go.
That's why Zito is. I call him the magician because he was able to re-sign Bennett, Reinhardt, Duclair, all of these guys.
The Duclair contract, based on how he's playing right now.
Yeah, and guys, it's not just, and I know we're kind of zeroing in on the Panthers and the great season that they're having and that, but every team is going through this. Every team has, oh no, what are we gonna do with this guy when his contract comes up? And oh no, what decisions we got to make with this person and that person. Everybody's going through it, and I think it's great. I'm not quite sure. I have the utmost respect for all the general managers and the people that are making the decisions on how their teams are built, because it is very difficult. And my hat's off to them. And Bill Zito's done a phenomenal job of building on the run, on the fly, this hockey club. And like you guys just mentioned, some of the players that he's brought in and signed and fit under the salary cap and that. Oh boy, someday I think about it for a number of minutes and then I just shut it off, because I don't want the stress and have to make those decisions and that. But that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it, because it's pieces of the puzzle and all that. And boy, I tell you, this Panther team, they are deep, they are talented, they are motivated. I don't think, guys, I've ever been around a Panther locker room or around a team where the leadership of the Hornquists and the Thorntons and the Barkoffs and Huberdeau and Ekblad and even like guys like Mackenzie Weegar and now Sam Bennett has come in, where these guys, they truly enjoy playing with each other. They all play together. You can't hide that. I've played on teams where there's been fractions all over and there's just no real chemistry. This Panther team I've never seen a Panther team like this before. They all like each other.
We haven't either.
And that's what makes it kind of fun. And they're enjoying the success that they've had so far together.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing. They, all you have to do is look at Huberdeau's face. He's smiling like all game.
Right.
Billy was on with us, and he made a very big point. The 96 team, the reason why we had such success is that the players were playing for each other, not for themselves. And he said that's a key component to winning the cup. And Lomberg made a comment the other night in his post game where he said the same thing. We're happy when the other guy does well.
Right.
So,
right.
You're right. We haven't had a team. I mean, it started last year. Actually, it started 2 years ago, but last year, really, we came up short. I think we could have went further. But this year, I mean, Randy, you and I have been 29 years, man. We've never seen a team this talented.
Yeah. And that's what that's what makes it exciting and how the team performs. And there's going to be lapses and there's going to be, I mean, you don't have to go back far when the Panthers got spanked 8-2 on home ice to the Ottawa Senators.
Right.
There were a lot of things that played into that. The team coming back from that long road trip, they had players that were nicked up. We were missing key players. But every team goes through that, and you're gonna have some highs and lows. You're just hoping that you're gonna have more highs than lows. But it's also, I've been very impressed with Andrew Burnett and his coaching staff. Keeping the team on an even keel. And you can tell by his comments and that even after the big wins, he's saying, hey, we did some good things right. There's some things that we need to work on, obviously, when the team was struggling, especially on the power play. But he said, as long as we keep an even keel and not get too down when you do have those misfires and those bad games where you have a bad loss, a disappointing loss or whatever. Hey, show up the next day. Enjoy being there, work on your skills, make your little adjustments, and then try and execute them the next game. And the Panthers really resilient that way. They bounce back how many times? Well, they lead the league with 12 comeback wins this year. That just proves that even if they get down, not only in the first, second, or even in the third period, they have 6 third period comebacks for wins this year. I've never heard of that before. I guess there's teams that have done it, but that just shows the true character of this team. And I keep using the word resilient and that a lot of that comes from the coaching and how hey, you're down 3-2 going into the third period. You can go into the locker room and start throwing around garbage cans and yelling at players, but that's old school. I think now they just, hey, continue with the process, continue with the system that we're trying to execute out there, and being precise and doing the right things, the little things, the winning the battles on the boards, get the forecheck going, make sure we got one guy back to help out if the puck gets turned over. All those things come into play, and they stay pretty positive. I tell you what, did you guys listen to the other his comments were just so.
You broke up.
Oh, I broke that. I just talk about,
Did you not hear him, Stu?
No, what'd he say?
Oh, let's try this one more time. All right. So I think I heard, what happened on my end was my Matthias decided to start talking at the same time. Well, let's just transition. I wanted to ask
one more comment about the 40 face-offs that Barkov took.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't it amazing how Dallas was kicking our butt with the face-offs, and Barkov won either 5 or 6 face-offs in the final minute or so?
Yeah, the last 2.5 minutes he won 5. Yeah, that was
incredible.
Yeah, that's just determination. And it wasn't just Barkov. I think only one of them was a clean face-off win. They just scrambled the draw, and then everybody just busts into the circle and give Huberdeau and Hornquist and these guys credit for digging that puck, for Hagee and those guys digging that puck out and getting possession of the puck, and then getting set up with the extra man with Bobrovsky pulled for the extra attacker.
Yeah. So what can you, if you can tell us anything at all, what can you tell us about where Achari's at, and how do you think he fits in, slots in when he comes back? Because we're loving that fourth line right now.
Yeah, that fourth line is that they can't mess with the chemistry. That fourth line, we don't consider that the fourth line. We consider Thornton, Vetrano, and Tippett the fourth line. I don't know.
Well, yeah, whether you number them or not or whatever. To answer the question about Nhl Hockey, I'll be totally honest, guys. I know about as much as you do. I know that he continues to rehab. I heard the other day, I think it was true that he was actually out skating a little bit. I don't know the timetable. I don't think the team really knows the timetable right now, and that's fine. But a player like that, you can pretty well, because the way the team is playing, as you guys mentioned, the way Loisterainen is playing and Anton Lundell up the middle, that they can take their time and Nhl Hockey can take his time to make sure he's 100%. We've all heard it, guys. And you asked Tampa Bay the last couple of years, you asked the St. Louis Blues, you asked the Washington Capitals that have won the last 4 Stanley Cups. It takes an army.
Yep.
And if you think that, okay, well, we've got our 4 lines and we got our 6 defense. You need 5 lines and you need 8 defense and they're all going to play and all going to be counted on once you get into the playoffs. So my point is Nhl Hockey has proven that he can be a very valuable player. Let's get him 100%, and then let's see where the cards lay once he's ready to jump back in the lineup. But I'm excited, and I hope he's able to come back. That was a terrible injury that he suffered, and he's shown that he could be a very valuable player. And in the playoffs, it's not the fancy stuff that wins games now and then. It's the winning the draws and the grinding it out and blocking shots shorthanded.
Right. Which leads me to Randy. Oh, go ahead.
Who comes out if Achari's in?
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, who knows? I mean, Stu, we could run into a rash of injuries. We could stay absolutely healthy. Nobody knows, but you want to make sure that you've got a lot of depth. And that's where, like, I've been impressed with Joe Thornton. He knew when he signed with the Panthers that he wasn't going to play every game, and he accepted that. He loves to play but to have that experience and that size, and he'd been through all these battles, and that is invaluable for a team. And I'm glad that he just played his 1700th game last night in Dallas. I know he's excited about that. He was excited about playing with his old buddy Joe Pavelski. You know, they played over 1,000 games together. Over 1,000 games in San Jose together. That's just mind-boggling. I don't think I've done that before.
No, that's and then speaking of the size and everything like that, what are your thoughts on Mammon? Because first couple of games, you know, he didn't look all that great, and then he's looked really, really good. Do you think that it's more just related to the injuries and everything that he's on the top line, or do you think the coaching staff thinks he's got that kind of potential?
I think it's a little of both, Eric. I think that here's a player. Well, we saw it. We saw it right in front of us, guys, years ago, where Evgeny Dadonov came over to North America, and like he said it himself, he just wasn't ready physically, mentally. The culture change, and that went back and played over in Europe and the KHL, and then came back and had success right away. Same thing with Maxime Mammon, and so there's a lesson in that you've got to be very, very patient with players. Players develop at different timetables, but I've been very impressed with Maxime Mammon. Now, the two things: you can't teach size, okay, but you can teach skill and you can motivate players. And I think Maxime Mammon he realizes he has the maturity now, that he realizes that, hey, I'm getting a great opportunity here. I might not play on the top line with Barkov every game, but if I show that I have the potential of doing that, then I think I can solidify myself as a regular in this lineup. He has the size and the strength and the skating ability. I think accepts the role with the skill set that he has. And that complements the Panthers very well. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for the Panthers because these guys don't fall out of trees, guys. They don't fall out of trees. And Maxime Mammon, it's been a little bit of a process, but I think he's proven that he has what it takes and accept the role that's put in front of him in order to help the team and for him to succeed as well.
Yeah, he's been good. Getting back to Joe Thornton, I equate that with the Ray Bourque situation. And, you know, nothing would please all of us to see Barkov hand him the cup. This could be the year. I mean, he came over to win the cup. I think he wins the cup. Just my feeling, he retires going out on top, just like Ray Bourque did.
Yeah,
so,
I wouldn't be surprised. It's just that if you're around him every day, he's amazing. He loves the practice. He loves being in the locker room. He loves being around the guys. He loves to play the game, and he loves everything about it. And that just shows the motivation that he has, guys. He's on what is he making? 750, 800,000. It's just a contract, a 1-year deal. There's really no risk for the Panthers. And he's totally fine with that. He's made enough money in his career and that he could have retired years ago, but that motivation, that burning desire to win a cup and what motivates him every day. And he's been a great addition for this team, both on and off the ice. Amazing.
Yeah. We didn't think when they signed him that, I mean, right, Eric?
That was my biggest question when we signed him was where, you know, because that was, of course, before Achari got hurt. But the injuries and, you know, Sam Bennett being suspended, it's opened up opportunities for other guys.
Yeah, and that's a good thing out of some adversity in that every team has gone through it this year, guys, where COVID, related. Look at some teams that just been decimated. Well, we were too. We were missing what 6, 7, 8 regulars out of lineup when we played the LA Kings not too far. It gives you an opportunity to see where you're at. Where is your depth at? Okay, let's bring up Pepianemi and some of these guys in Kierstead on defense and Chase Prisky and that. Give them an opportunity and see where they're really at and give them a taste and give them some motivation and that. I think the Panthers, that's the one positive out of maybe a negative situation with injuries, suspension, COVID, and that is you get to see these young players and what they can do, and gives them a little taste of what it takes to stay to not only play in the NHL but to stay in the NHL.
Right. So the last thing I got for you is I just want to talk a little bit about Spencer Knight, and obviously he's not had the same experience this year that he had last year, where everything was sunshine and rainbows for him last year. But it's to be expected, and I still feel like he's on the path to be an elite goaltender. The question I have is because there was a lot of conjecture in the fan base, and I was part of it. The question I have is, are they talking about it before a game where the coaches say, look, Spence, even if you give up 6, 7, 8 goals, we're going to leave you in? Or is that a situation where where coach is making that decision on the fly?
I don't know if Eric, if I can answer that. I really don't know. I can't get in the head of Andrew Burnett or Robbie Tallis, the goalie coach or whatever. I don't know. I will say this though, and I like to go back a little bit in order to explain my point going forward. How many times over the last couple of years where everybody was all over Sergei Bobrovsky and and that, and I was maybe in the minority, I think I took some criticism for it, but I don't worry about Sergei Bobrovsky. I didn't worry about him 2 years ago. I didn't worry about him last year. Was he fantastic? No. Was he good? Was he up to expectations of 99% of the people in hockey? No. But because of the contract and because of the success that he's had, the expectations are absolutely through the roof. So let's turn the page. And I said it. I'm not worried about our goaltending, the Panthers goaltending. I'm not worried about it at all. And people are like, oh, what do you mean? What do you? No, I'm not worried about it at all. It's a lot of it has to do with the play in front of the goaltender. They're not perfect. It's a game of mistakes. Sergei Bobrovsky has proven that he's one of the best goaltenders in the world. Again, look at his record. He's 13-1 on home ice.
Right.
There's no other goaltender in the league that has a record like that. So, okay, let's transition to Spencer Knight. He's still, I think he's got a birthday coming up. He's still only 20 years old. He's 20 years old. He looks like he's 16 years old.
Right.
He has a skill set. He's going to have some bumps in the road, but they know, and let's say, for example, that a team calls the Florida Panthers, hey, listen, would you be interested in moving Spencer Knight? It would be a nanosecond click. No, I'm not worried about Spencer Knight. He has played exceptionally well in a few games this year. He's been better than average in a few games. I think there's one game where he kind of struggled, but the team really struggled in front of him as well. And so it's tough to really, but anyways, let's tie it all together. Spencer Knight is going to be an excellent goaltender. He's going to play 20 years in the NHL. And I'm very, very comfortable and very happy that he's with the Florida Panthers. You can't find players in that position with that skill set and that mental toughness and mental preparation and how he attacks adversity and how he goes about his daily business and trying to improve, and that this is very, very rare, guys. Very rare. This is Marty Brodeur. This is, Ronnie Hextall. I mean, some of the elite.
Roberto Luongo.
Roberto Luongo, Patrick Waugh. These guys don't come along. He's only 20 years old. And I think the Panthers are being very, very patient. They know what they have in the skill set, and they're very, very happy. And they're going to accept that if there is a couple of bumps in the road, that's fine. They're going to stay positive. He'll stay positive, and we'll just keep going forward. The biggest thing that Spencer Knight does not have is experience. He doesn't have experience. So let's just all take that off the front burner, and he's going to be fine. And I'm just happy that he's going to be a Florida Panther for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Getting back to Bob, let me make two observations that I see. And the first is he's got the luxury of having an offensive juggernaut to give him, and Eric, and I'd like to see the stat, but when the magic number is 4 goals. When we get 4 goals, there's a really good chance that we win the game. Last night was, probably a rarity because, again, you take a look at, I'd like to see the win-losses, statistics. We get 4 goals. I mean, we can go from, third to sixth gear like a Porsche, where we just come wave after wave after wave and, wear the defense down. We're so fast and so talented that I think that helps with his confidence. The other observation that we kind of never really talk about is the player's personal life. And I think now having a child, he had a press conference where he says he's got his private life and he's got his professional, and he separates the two. And I think that's helped him having a family now, being a dad, and he comes to the rink focused.
One thing about Sergei Bobrovsky, he can have 4 shutouts in a row. He can give up 8 goals in back-to-back games. He doesn't change his demeanor, guys. And I think sometimes that rubs maybe people the wrong way because they want to see him being emotional and all. And how many times has he's talked in post game? You can't tell most times that he talks post game whether he won or not. He says it's a process. We work every day, and I'm trying to do the best that I can, and it's a process. Whatever the outcome, the next morning I'm on the ice. I have my routine. I'm trying to better myself and help my team win. That's what he says all the time, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And I'll just finish with this, guys. I've said it for a long time. Goaltending is the least issue for the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
I'm not a big goaltending hype guy. I'm not a big goaltending jump on them or on the bandwagon, off the bandwagon. They're one player on the team. Do your job and stop the puck and help the team win. And sometimes you're going to win 6-5. Sometimes you're going to win 2-0. And he's just part of the team, and that's the least issue that the Panthers have is goaltending. Right. That's they don't have a lot of issues. So let me address that. They don't. So I've been a big Bob fan. I really respect the way the success that he's had in the past, the success that he's had now, and the way that he's handled himself through a little bit of adversity. And he has bounced back, and he has not changed, guys, one iota. Has not changed, and he won't change. He's going to go about his business, and he's going to go about the routine that he has that he thinks will help the team win.
Yeah. Well,
I have one last question, but Erica, you got one more question?
Oh, no, yeah. It was just real quick. I was just thinking about it because I know there's been a talk a lot, when this all went down with the coaching and everything. I don't know if you can answer or not, but what do you think? Is there any chance of the interim label being taken off of Brunette and him made permanent before the end of the season?
I don't know. I've done numerous interviews and been asked about Andrew Brunette and the situation that we're in. right now, and that I think he's doing an excellent job. He has kept the consistency and the systems that were in place. Now I know he has the respect of the players.
Right.
He's hardworking, yet he gets along. I think he's a player's coach. I think they can come to him if they have issues. But the Panthers have a strong leadership group, players-wise, and that really takes a lot of the onus is off the head coach, and he can focus on the systems and make sure that these players are prepared. And that, to answer your question, Eric, I don't know. I'm very comfortable with Andrew Burnett for what he does. I don't have a crystal ball for the near future or the long haul. Let's just go day by day here, and as long as the team is performing well and sticking together and showing that they are a true team, I'm very comfortable with things, way things are with the coaching.
Yep, agreed.
So here's my last question, and it's not really Panther related. You've played a long time in the league. You played with wood sticks. You played with the old steel skates. So the question I want to know, and I don't know if you saw the goal that was scored by DeBrincat yesterday with Strome shortening up and basically bunting the puck. It bounces into DeBrincat. So the talent. I remember doing that alumni game. Remember that alumni game?
Yeah.
Where the Islanders, I was in the dressing room and they were talking about how they used to smoke cigarettes in between periods. So my question is, comparing the era of, the Randy Mollers, let's say the 70s, the 80s, to the level, the skill level, the speed and of these players and the workout regimens. Just want an observation from you comparing that time to now.
Well, the short answer, Stu, to that is money. and how I explain this to fans, and especially to young athletes, is if you're getting paid $2 million a year and you're 20 years old, why would you want to screw it up by being stupid off the ice, by not taking care of yourself, or not doing the right thing in society and in the community? And you guys know what I'm talking about, getting into trouble and that. These players that have come up, and now there's a lot of money to be made, and good on them. They deserve it. But their preparation and their determination to get to this level and to stay at this level, I've never seen before. And I think a lot of that has to do with, you can make a lot of money and set yourself up financially for a long time. Also, the hockey is a lot like football, where the careers are not that long. The average age of an NHL hockey player, guys, is less than 5 years. Think about that. Now, you've got the Joe Thorntons and the Chris Chelios and the Roberto Luongos and some of these guys that play 20 years and that, Stevie Yzerman and that. But for every guy that plays 15, 16, 17 years in the league, there's 500, and I'm not exaggerating, that play less than 40 games in the league. And so I love and admire the skill set that these young players that come in, but more importantly, I'm absolutely impressed the way they handle themselves, the maturity and being on top and understanding what it takes, even at the age of 18, 19, 20, 21, how they handle themselves both on and off the ice. It's really remarkable and very commendable. I'm amazed almost every day, but I shouldn't be amazed because I've seen it for quite a few years now, that these players come in and with the opportunity and the excellent coaching and the guidance that they get from their agents and their advisors and the coaches, and that they're well prepared for the stresses and the speed of the game at the NHL level, but they seem to excel, and the talent level that it keeps coming into the league is incredible. incredible. And I think that just bodes well for the game. And I'm just glad that I'm a part of it.
Yep.
You would agree, though, that the equipment, the graphite sticks, and the light skates, a lot better than those super tacks, right, man?
It's the same thing with golf, with the golf ball and the clubs that they use now. It's the same thing with the tennis players, with the rackets and the strings and everything and the balls that they use or whatever. I mean, technology, you can't stop technology creeping into any part of your life, whether it's everyday life or with the coffee machines and all this stuff that and especially the gadgets that we have and the cell phones, where at the tip of our fingers, we've got so much knowledge. We can find out how far Topeka, Kansas is from Denver, Colorado. We can find that out in 10 seconds. And that the technology and they use this technology, and I think it has enhanced the game. The game has never been better. I played in the game when it was so rough and slow and the skill was kind of frowned upon. Now it's celebrated, it's encouraged, and these players that are coming in are so entertaining. And look at the games that we played at the FLA Live Arena,
right.
This home games, and that the show that these guys are putting on and scoring these highlight goals. The fans absolutely love it. The game is in a good spot right now with the skill of these young players that continue to move the game forward.
Excellent.
All right,
Randy,
we'll end on that note.
Yep.
I mean,
really thanks, genuine.
Rand.
We appreciate you coming on with us.
We love it.
Big deal.
We love it.
Yep.
Yeah, and the guys that follow this channel, the people that follow this channel, love it. The comments, I don't know if you read the comments, but you see the tweets. They love when you come on. You and Billy is so knowledgeable, and we're really grateful that you spend time with us.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks a lot for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. Let's do it sooner than later again, and hopefully we'll be talking again, and especially about the Panthers and the continued success that they've had. And good luck, and hopefully everybody enjoys this little conversation that we've had.
Great. Thanks, Randy.